हाय। तो रिसेंटली काफी लोग मुझे बहुत क्वेश्चंस पूछ रहे थे अराउंड प्रोडक्ट केस स्टडीज कि मतलब मुझे केस स्टडी चालू करना है तो कैसे चालू कर सकता हूँ। हाउ कैन आई इम्प्रूव माई थॉट प्रोसेस इन केस स्टडीज, या केस स्टडीज से मैं जॉब कैसे ले सकता हूँ। एंड दैट इज व्हेन आई गॉट द आइडिया कि व्हाई नॉट मेक अ कंप्लीट वीडियो ऑन केस स्टडीज 101। लाइक अगर कोई भी बिगिनर ये वीडियो दिखता है तो उसको कंप्लीट आइडिया लग जाए कि केस स्टडीज होता क्या है, उसको कैसे अप्रोच करते हैं एंड उसको कैसे प्रेजेंट करते हैं इफेक्टिवली, जिससे आपको जॉब मिलने में आसानी हो सके। बट आई वॉज कंफ्यूज कि मतलब हाउ कैन आई मेक दिस वीडियो। बहुत सारे आइडियाज थे। दैट इज वन, मतलब मुझे लगा कि यार किसी और को वीडियो में लेके आना चाहिए जिनके केस स्टडीज मुझे काफी अच्छे लगते हैं एंड उनका थॉट प्रोसेस डिकोड करके ये सब चीजें बतानी चाहिए। एंड दैट इज द एग्जैक्ट रीजन टुडे इन दिस वीडियो आई हैव विथ मी अक्षिता। तो अक्षिता इज वन ऑफ द वेरी फ्यू पीपल जिनके केस स्टडीज मुझे काफी अच्छे लगते हैं, फ्रॉम स्ट्रक्चर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, फ्रॉम presentation point of view, and also the way she markets the case studies. Like उनके हर एक केस स्टडीज में 200 प्लस रिएक्शंस होते हैं। तो आई ऑल्सो वांटेड टू लर्न सम न्यू थिंग्स फ्रॉम हर। तो मैंने सोचा व्हाई नॉट उनको ही बुला लेते हैं अपने पॉडकास्ट में। एंड उनका जो फर्स्ट केस स्टडी किया था वो हम लोग डिटेल में रिव्यू करके कंप्लीटली सीखेंगे कि मतलब हाउ कैन यू मेक योर फर्स्ट केस स्टडी एंड वो इफेक्टिवली प्रेजेंट करके मार्केट कैसे कर सकते हो। तो इसमें हमने काफी डिटेल में जाके एक केस स्टडी एनालाइज किया है। एंड आई एम श्योर अगर आप एस्पायरिंग पीएम हो, केस स्टडीज फर्स्ट टाइम चालू कर रहे हो, दिस इज द वीडियो विच यू शुड नॉट मिस, क्योंकि इसमें काफी आपको स्टेप बाय स्टेप प्लान भी दिया है एंड कैसे जॉब मिलता है उसके बारे में भी डिस्कशन किया है। तो लेट्स हियर स्ट्रेट फ्रॉम अक्षिता। आई गेस many people want to get into product management now because it is a booming field, and they also want to know about case studies. So I just wanted your perspective on what do you think is a case study?
Okay, so before starting this, that is what I did. I read more than 50 case studies and understanding the underlying logic behind it, that what is actually a product case study. So, what I felt is people are picking up a problem,
Mm,
deeping down on what the problem actually is for the business and for the users, and then coming up with the solutions that the product
mm,
can solve. Maybe there are things that we can solve at a business level, but this is
mm,
something we are only solving at a product level of how we can use the make the user the most happy, aligning with the business goals. So these are the
mm,
main things that I saw as a structure of the case study.
mm.
Yeah.
So basically, you are saying problem है and solution find करना है उसका, and we need to convey it in the right way. That is the case study, right?
And user, you have to be obsessed with the user in these case studies.
Hmm.
So
And let's start from case study only. So if anyone wants to do a case study
mhm,
without knowing anything, like उसको चालू करना है, what could be the right path? I won't say path क्योंकि there is no right path, but how you
mhm.
started जिससे people could take idea.
Okay. So what I did, I'll just
Yeah.
repeat that basically I picked up a problem that I was facing. First of all, I read hundreds of case studies, 50 plus case studies, understanding
Hmm.
what exactly needs to be done, or is this something can I now I understand enough to pick up a case study. Like before
Hmm.
starting, I made sure that every step in the case study I understand enough to put in my
Hmm.
problem and solution. And then, if you see, the problem that I mentioned was a very real life problem that I was facing. I
Hmm.
live in a flat where the cook comes. So every day
Hmm.
I need to tell her that, okay, this needs to be made, this needs to be made, which is a very hectic
Hmm.
process. And that problem you face every constant day. And
Hmm.
I'm a Swiggy user. So I do all of these things from Swiggy. So thought to
Hmm.
pick up Swiggy to solve that problem.
Hmm.
Uh, Again, then I tried validating this problem, talking to my mothers, talking to everyone around me at least. And
Hmm.
even without talking, I could hear it from everyone every day that we don't
Hmm.
know क्या बनाना है, आज क्या बनाना है. It's a headache for everyone, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, that is when I fixated कि ठीक है, this problem I need to pick, and like
Hmm.
now I understand the nuances of it, that what is the user flow I do to decide, I do to order. That user flow was very clear in my mind. Hmm.
I just want to question here. You
Hmm.
said you validated the problem, right? So there should be one phase जहाँ पे you are like कि अभी problem validate हुआ है. So what was the
Yes.
one thing कि अभी हो गया validate, अभी आगे बढ़ना है? What was that point?
Uh, so this problem, I talked to my mother, and as I said, all of these people, everyone was just without a doubt was like,
Hmm.
"Huh." this is a problem cannot decide. And there was
Hmm.
a lot of internet buzz also around it. It was not just my group talking about it. I'll just show that screen. That is when I started. I knew I have to tell people that this is a real problem. So
Hmm.
I started collecting things from the internet,
Hmm.
which showed the sharing that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started collecting that where are these memes are, that keep going across, right? Entire places.
Hmm.
So this is a very big validation as well, I felt.
Hmm.
Yeah, like look at the emotions of people talking about it. It's a very nice video of him saying, "Yeah, what do I do? She is already here. I do not know
Yeah.
what to eat." And
Yeah.
even these kind of things, people like Sapan Verma talking about
Hmm.
it. So
Yeah.
yeah, trying to collect that just to show people that yes, it's a real problem, making them more relate
Hmm.
with the particular problem.
Yeah.
So I think the validation was the easier part because the problem was very big.
I just want to stop here and just give my perspective here. Many people think ki if we are doing any problem validation, we need to conduct interviews and everything. I think this is a good example which states that you don't require user research in some cases, interviews, depth interviews. Like ये अगर reel भी देखोगे 46.8K shares है which validates कि people are sharing so it is a problem. So even if you talk to two people and then validate using this thing, it should be fine for case study. ऐसे नहीं कि 10 दिन दिया case study को research करने में. Because
True.
people complain a lot about this कि time नहीं होता मेरे पास case study करने को. So you can have जुगाड़ techniques as well to prove your point. Just FYI. चलो ठीक है तो मतलब यहाँ से you validated the idea कि people are sharing over internet, talk to few people, they are facing the problem. You said it is a problem, right?
Yes.
And then what is the next step? उसके बाद क्या किया?
Okay. So once the problem was validated,
Hmm.
I started writing it down.
Hmm.
I started writing it down that what is the real problem that
Hmm.
I think is happening. So what to
Hmm.
cook, need to order anything before sleeping, and like these are the random thoughts that
Hmm.
I was having in mind that what where exactly is the user facing the problem? Like
Hmm.
because the the cook will come in the morning. You can't
Yeah.
decide it when you get up in the morning what to eat because your brain is not functioning that well at that
Hmm.
point. It's already a bigger thing. So while sleeping, you might be thinking of this problem
Hmm.
or before whatever. So you're busy in meetings in the evening and your cook is there, like
Hmm.
what to eat for dinner. So then at that point it becomes a problem. And the other problems I started thinking because in case studies, I saw that people are not just solving one problem, they were solving
Hmm.
a lot of other problems. So
Hmm.
I then started thinking around more problems that I can think of or
Hmm.
in food in general. So healthy meals is one thing. When you are planning what
Hmm.
to eat, you are also thinking about I need to eat healthy. So
Yeah.
that is the angle I took that this is also one problem people face. And then there are people when we are thinking what to cook. When I was talking to this about my brother, he also doesn't know how to cook that.
Hmm.
So then the recipe part came in that this is also one particular problem. So I think
Hmm.
the best way I feel about thinking a particular problem is the user funnel that someone goes through, thinking about each and every step at where, what is he doing, where is he facing the problem, why does he need at
Hmm.
that particular point. So yeah, these
Hmm.
are the particular steps I took for the.
So अभी तक आपने पहले validate किया, then problems
Hmm.
note down किए, which users were facing in the generic journey, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I started deeping down into the user part, ki who are the users that are facing the
Hmm.
problem, not mapping the problem with a particular user, but in general, who are the users that are facing the problem. For example,
Hmm.
first I removed the user in this case, since this was a bigger problem. I kind of removed the users who are not facing this problem. People who are
Hmm.
living in PGs and hostels, for example, they have their set meals, they are
Hmm.
not even using Swiggy or they don't care
Yeah.
about any of that. People like our fathers, they don't care
Hmm.
about anything what to be
Hmm.
made and they're not using, like in general,
Yeah.
that. So trying to cut the users in this case and then trying to think what are the users who are facing this problem the most. The people like busy working moms, then
Hmm.
bachelors, work from home people who are like people who are going to office
Hmm.
also constantly. Uh,
Hmm.
when they are facing the problem. So the people who are facing more, I try to target on that place, I would say made these four sections: problems, users, features, value propositions. and kept writing it over 5 days of time. Like I kept
Oh.
thinking about everything that I could think over time. Like I knew the storyline in my head, right? But I kept on
Hmm.
thinking what is missing, and etc. And kept filling this before taking up the PPT.
Got it. So, can you go to previous photo? Huh?
Hmm.
So, यहाँ पे once you had the problems in mind, also users in mind, these people are facing the above problems, and you need to
Hmm.
solve for that.
Yeah.
उसके बाद क्या किया?
Then uske baad I thought how to solve the problem because I have the problems that
Hmm.
I'm solving for. How this exactly can be solved? Where are the gaps in the user flow currently that we are facing? And these are
Hmm.
multiple solutions that I kept writing. Ki what
Hmm.
all can be done unnecessary. Everything that comes to mind, I used to keep writing here.
Hmm.
At least you can discard ideas much
Yeah.
faster in that way.
Got
So
it.
yeah, then the kitchen inventory was one idea that I was planning initially. That there should be a kitchen inventory. Everyone you should be able to put what all inventory is there in their kitchen. And whenever you cook something, you tell on Swiggy and it will go. But then, like I thought it's a very complicated process. No one
Hmm.
is going to do that.
Hmm.
So kind of removed that because I thought then it'll be very automated. Everyone will just get to
Hmm.
see, okay, मेरे kitchen में क्या है, अब मैं ये बना सकती हूँ, ये है.
Hmm.
But that's not
Hmm.
feasible.
Hmm.
So kind of remove that. Then the meal plan, then voice inputs.
Hmm.
Trying to think of everything.
Yeah.
Gamification for adding particular meals. One
Got
more
it.
thing that I thought was integration with Healthify Me because I
Hmm.
was using Healthify Me at that time and seeing that okay they are giving the meal plans, but I still have to go to Swiggy and order everything for that.
Hmm.
So if Swiggy doesn't want to spend that much budget, they can integrate with Healthify Me and get that at least plan sorted.
Hmm.
And then like ingredients can just be mapped, so it will be easier for them to do.
Hmm. Interesting. So, did
And then a
you,
dashboard. Hmm.
when you were working on this solution, did you have an end-to-end idea about how this solution would be implemented and everything, or was it high-level idea for now?
No, no, I think it was very different. What I started was very different than what I came up with because this kitchen inventory thing is which I was saying was the primary thing I thought I will do.
Hmm.
Once I started like understanding it more, thinking about it more, it was a complete
Hmm.
discard that I did and went with the most simplest solution that I could figure out in this way.
Hmm. Got it. Uh, One thing on this point, like you said, it is not feasible. So, what were your parameters? Like based on these parameters, I'm discarding. Once you said was कि feasible नहीं है. Were there any more parameters which you considered?
No, the major thing I felt was no one will even do this, so the feature will become completely useless. Like even in Healthify Me, they're giving me a lot
Hmm.
of plans and asking me to update what you ate in the most simplest manner. They are just asking me to click a picture, it will automatically go and get updated. But even that, no one does.
Yeah.
Like so, even if you implement something like that and expect that machine to give you the next input, ki this is what you will want to eat. No,
Hmm.
that cycle itself will break. So that is why I discarded things.
Got it. So main thing was user perspective only कि user क्या use करेगा. That is the core.
Exactly. Yeah, मतलब again think about when someone is using it, how would they use it? क्या वो ये करेंगे? क्या
Hmm.
वो interest से करेंगे? खुद से करेंगे? Like because
Yeah.
forcing a user, I don't think works as such. Like you can change their mentality, but not force them to
Hmm.
do something.
ठीक है ये फीचर्स आ गए. So based
हाँ
on this you made your solution. Right. कौन सा solution आपने choose
हाँ
किया था इसमें?
मैंने सैचुरेट 5 किए थे actually. So the meal planning thing I did, and then there was a one more thing that I felt is a very big problem. That even if someone doesn't want meal plans, they might just say you want to eat pav bhaji,
Hmm.
but you don't know what all goes into pav bhaji. You will
Hmm.
order everything. You will search aloo. You will search this. You will search all of that. Takes a lot of your time. So
Hmm.
if Swiggy automates that, and if you search for pav bhaji, you get everything for pav bhaji. I felt
Hmm.
this was a bigger problem than meal planning.
Yeah. Hmm.
So then this solution kind of picked up, and then like based of these solutions, there I picked up 5 solutions that felt were fitting in these problems and
Got
my
it.
users.
Got it. So you mapped the solution to the problem. So if I want to summarize आपका approach, it is like first validate that it is a problem. Once you know it was a problem, then research करो uses नहीं, पहले आपने किया problems, like what are the problems which these people are facing, then identify who is facing majority of the problem out of all the people, and then ideate for those in detail ki what they would use, and based on that make the complete feature plan, right?
Yes.
In-depth solution.
Yes.
Got it. And this was without even knowing कि case study क्या होता है. You were just figuring out and first case study कर रहे थे आप, right?
Now, this was the first case study, but I read a lot of case studies. I think that really helps. I would, if anyone's an aspiring person who wants to make case studies, I would highly suggest read 50 case studies before starting one, because
Hmm.
we might know the actual structure of what product management is with case studies. When you read how they're connecting a problem to solution, I think
Hmm.
it helps a lot.
One thing which I really liked about this case study is without before even starting the presentation, you had a complete idea कि कैसे दिखेगा presentation. So,
No. The solution maybe, yeah, but everything kept changing. I don't think I had an idea in mind. Once I had the presentation, everything kept changing, and there was a
oh,
lot of iterations that went there as well. So it was a
oh,
month that I took for this case study.
uh, like I could not get this. Like you had this complete thing in place, right? Only
Yeah,
thing was you need to put this in the presentation, right?
yeah, but to even sort that, how the structure would look like, what I need to show, where exactly I need to show. Then I prioritizing,
Hmm.
like this is a list of 10 features. Prioritizing five out of that, making the wireframes of that, and then putting that
Hmm.
into the slide. I think the game was
Got it.
very tricky than what I was thinking.
Okay. I would like to dive more into presentation then now. But
Yes,
yeah, before that, so what I was saying was, but having clarity on this thing, I think is 80% of job done from thinking
true,
POV, right?
true. Yeah, that was completely sorted. Only you need to pick what you need to pick and put in the
Yeah.
PPT. This
Cool.
is the kachra that you create out of your mind. There only the neat stuff goes.
So if I want to summarize, it is like you have an idea on what you need to implement. Now you need to figure out what could be the best way I could present it to the stakeholders.
Yes,
एंड उसमें मुझे जाना है क्योंकि बहुत लोग ये कर भी लेंगे फिर भी एंड में उनको प्रेजेंट करना नहीं आता उनकी केस स्टडी देख के लगता है कि दे आर जस्ट पुटिंग एवरीथिंग बट व्हेन आई लुक्ड एट योर केस स्टडी इट इज मोर ऑर्गेनाइज्ड ओनली हैविंग लिमिटेड डेटा व्हाट इज नीडेड एंड एवरीथिंग तो उसमें मुझे डाइव करना है कि हाउ डिड यू फिगर आउट क्या जाना चाहिए एंड कैसे स्ट्रक्चर किया आपने तो डेप्थ में किया तो बेटर होगा.
having OCD really helps. I think I've created a lot of presentations, etc., and I have a lot of OCD that even this line should be aligned with that line. So I think having that maniac in your brain really helps also. Uh, yeah, I'll share the PPT.
So you had a complete idea on this is what you need to put in the PPT और storyline का idea था if not what you need to put. तो उसके बाद how you identified क्या जाना चाहिए PPT में कैसे बनाया था. Can you walk through that process?
Yes. So the first mentality I went into the PPT with is people do not read. No one reads anything. Even if they
Hmm.
come to my PPT, they will see something. There will be out of 100 people, five people might read. But I wanted to make it easier to read so that at least out of apart from those five users, 10 at least get the gist of it, maybe, even if without reading. So I wanted to make something in a way that 21 slides you will not read at
Yeah,
all. Why will you read?
yeah,
So making the information in such a small dots that it is not heavy to consume in any of the slides. First of all, like this was the thought process before getting into it. And like if you read only three, four words, maybe you will get a little understanding. Okay, this is happening. I don't know what is the real story, but then this is happening. What's the gist behind it?
hmm,
So the first thing what attracts the users to read on any LinkedIn profile and like LinkedIn post is the visuals. I feel you
yeah,
might write text, but it does not go into your brain because it's a lot of text on the page already. But
hmm,
when there is one image in between which is attracting, you might at least stop on it.
yeah,
So that is where the thought process of that started. Even again, yeah, now also here you need to act as a product manager for your PPT and think how are the users going to
yeah,
read that.
yeah,
So yeah, then trying to get every picture possible from the internet. and using some Pixlr AI tools to
Mhm.
convert all that. I actually want to show that as well.
Yeah,
There is,
I think all this detailing shows how much effort has gone behind having these photos in place. I
yeah,
think
this
that
photo.
justifies 250 reactions जो LinkedIn पे आते हैं if you are putting so much efforts on PPT.
So yeah, this is the first thing that I did. Collected every photo that was on the internet. If you see food items, like 100 pictures trying to collect,
Oh,
collecting a lot of AI images. Like
hmm.
this is created based on the prompts that I give, but
Oh,
this is also a lot more than what you actually put in the PPT,
uh,
because you will not know in the start that what you exactly can put or what will exactly fit. Something might not, or something might
hmm.
just look weird as per. So collecting a lot of this in the start itself. So while creating a PPT, you wouldn't have to go and search. You will know this is what I have. मैं इसके अलावा किसी और चीज से बना ही नहीं सकती हूँ और कुछ नहीं है इंटरनेट
Hmm.
पे.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of thought process that went collecting all the logos, collecting all the memes beforehand itself, so that otherwise you get a little distracted doing that.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Got
this
it.
I wanted to tell. This really helps me. I still do this till date in every PPT. One
Hmm.
thing that really helps. And
Nice.
okay, then going to the PPT again. Yeah, this then was created with a thought process that I'm actually pitching something to Swiggy. I am a product consultant actually hired for Swiggy, and then they are asking me to do particular three things.
Hmm.
These three things were a little backtracked from the problem and the
Yeah.
solution. It has to be because the path I took, this had to be a little backtracked.
Just diving a bit into it,
Hmm.
did you think this from Swiggy perspective more now since you had clarity on the problem? But Swiggy को क्या अच्छा लगा based on that अपने ये points डाले.
Though no, matlab, to I wanted to make sure that Swiggy reads it in a particular way. How would they feel that actually a problem is solved for them? Users
Hmm.
might like it because it is solved for them, but I wanted Swiggy
Hmm.
to be more liking it. कि, okay, these are the steps that we can also take. Maybe they might hire me or not is a different story, but I wanted to make sure they feel
Hmm.
that it's a problem which has to be solved, and I'm just
Yeah.
proposing one solution for it. So
Hmm. Got
yeah.
it.
And then I was thinking in that mindset itself that yes, someone has given me that assignment and I need to make sure that they understand the solution.
Hmm.
So then, yeah, these are the three main points I thought that user pain points we are solving. We are like making sure that when this happens, the
Hmm.
adoption will be more, and maximizing revenue channels because everyone would be interested more in revenue. I knew I had
Yeah.
to put this point until unless I put this and solve a problem which is not making revenue, they might
Yeah.
not be as interested
Hmm.
sometimes.
Yes.
And and I felt it's such a big problem. If you solve, users will be ready to pay something as well. So
Hmm.
to launch Swiggy One Pro,
Hmm.
that is where the
Yes.
solution part. So that is where the revenue part came in. That I will take like 200 rupees or something for the users, which they will pay if
Hmm.
like you answer me that question. If I tell you, I will tell you what are the 30 meals you want to plan in your day and your month. Will you not pay 200 rupees for that?
Hmm. Yeah. True.
So that is the thought process that went behind here. And here, this picture was added to show that even if someone does not reach any of this thing, they will see that okay, there is a girl who's trying to solve a problem for sick.
Hmm.
Only this much is also enough for the slide.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I read that everyone was writing about the company details as well. First, I thought it is not required.
Yeah.
Why do I add for a company something like big as Swiggy? Everyone would know that.
Hmm.
But then I understood that okay, it is required to make sure that the company details are in place for some people who might not know about it. But
Hmm.
in my mind also, everyone that I am trying to reach for the audience knows about Swiggy, and at least
Yeah.
Swiggy knows about Swiggy. So I
Yeah.
didn't want it to make this text heavy or anything because no one
Hmm.
would read the slide.
Hmm.
Everyone would be interested in the problem and the solution. Why would you waste your time knowing what Swiggy is when you know what Swiggy is?
Yeah.
So writing very basic things about it. And then because my subsector was Swiggy Instamart, putting details on that, its competition,
Hmm.
and the basic metrics that I felt can be relevant to this case study, showing that it has a lot of user base. It is in a lot of cities. it works with these many brands, so the meal planning will become easier. And it currently holds a 40% market share also, so it will be easier to take more users. So only these metrics that I thought would be relevant, trying to add that. Then directly jumping into the pain points that the Instamart users are facing. Yeah, and these are the main pain points, like whatever went into the book that we saw the notes. Out of that, the five main problems that I felt came here.
One thing was, did you think of adding research as well here or some kind of document?
Because I did not do any research. So this is what I added for the research part, showing that the
Okay.
validation of the problem that I did.
Oh, cool. Okay, you have added it later.
Yeah, but like here, nothing. I did not know exactly that here we need to show. In my mind, I had researched this, right? So I put the user pain points, but now I get that we need to show the data backing behind it and then come up
Hmm.
with the final pain points.
Got it. So if you were to change the PPT now, maybe those reels could come on the top, right?
Yeah,
This is the
yeah,
problem, then this is the pain point. तो so far starting की slides में आपने स्विगी के बारे में बताया, इंस्टामार्ट के बारे में बताया. Then you walk through the pain points. This is the pain points in Instamart.
yeah. And also to talk about the PPT point of it,
Hmm.
maybe someone will not read this also. To put a picture that, okay, this is what Swiggy does. There is a delivery guy, which is the identity of Swiggy.
Yeah.
And then in the Instamart, someone bringing groceries to your door.
Hmm.
So even if you do not want to read this, the picture speaks something you get out of every slide.
Hmm.
And then here the user, which looks confused in his kitchen. So
Yeah.
then at least even if you know if you're not also in like wanting to read, you might at least get interested by seeing the pictures. Okay, something I might want to know what is this person feeling.
Yeah.
So to create this interest. And then I wanted to show that is there is not only one user, there are many users who how do
Hmm.
they look like when they are facing the problem. They are sitting
Oh.
in their kitchen, both of them planning what can be eaten. She's confused. She's looking at her phone. कि ठीक है क्या मंगाना है. And
Hmm.
all of these people, like he's a health freak, if you see.
Hmm.
So trying
Oh.
to put all the personas and showing that.
Oh man. So much thought process behind all these things. This is something
Yeah.
really inspiring for me. I have done so much of case studies, but never thought so much about PPTs. We can do all these things.
I like the storytelling part of it a lot. I think food also interests me a lot. One thing I would say is pick up a domain that really interests you. If I would have picked
Hmm.
something I would not be that interested in, I might not have put this much of effort. Like this
Hmm.
is something I really get interested in. कि ठीक है ये वो मतलब खाने का सोच के I am a big fan. So I think that is one good
Hmm.
reason.
Yeah. Cool. So यहाँ पे personas दिखाए थे. Next इसमें आपने just finalize कर दिया in detail. These are the personas.
Yes. So then trying to think of what I went into the notes as well, right? Like what are the particular users who are facing this problem? So wanted to
Hmm.
categorize them from a high level that there are working professionals, there are bachelors who are facing this problem. And what I kind of did is because I did not have any particular research, I took the PNCs of these problems, like these two problems for one particular user, maybe other two problems for
Hmm.
one particular user, so that I cover the problems in all the user personas
Hmm.
from a logical sense only. Like for example, the recipes thing might be more fitting for a bachelor here. So those
Hmm.
kind of mappings,
Got it.
trying to create the personas. And here again, here if you see a picture, also really speaks for itself. Like she looks like a mom who's trying to figure out. So you don't need to read all of these things until unless you're curious.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah,
Also,
then
names are self-explanatory. From names only you
Radhika.
get an idea. Working
Radhika.
professionals, bachelors,
Ah,
and
correct,
all.
correct. Yes, that was done for that particular reason itself, because like you get to know the higher subset of the people that we are trying to target.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I did a mistake here. I would want to call that out. Segmentation has to be done, which is mutually
Yeah.
exclusive and collectively exhaustive, which is not here the case. These are just five subsets of people that I've picked up, which are generically facing this problem. So that I think can be done better.
Yeah. Reflection पे आता है बाद में. Many things we can
Okay.
talk about it.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, then the validation slide, which also
Yeah.
has videos. basically.
Yeah. I like the point that you did not mention word validation. Instead of that, you had whites around the word.
मतलब
So
now
it
I
looks like
feel
a
कि यार
story.
this हो गया.
I think it is
हाँ,
more like a story now. बस
got
ये
it.
ऊपर
Okay,
आता और तो मे बी बेटर हो सकता था
correct.
बिफोर पेन पॉइंट्स. ये वाइब है उसकी वजह से पेन पॉइंट्स ये
हाँ, मतलब ये पूरे सबके पेन पॉइंट्स है दुनिया के.
है. Yeah.
Then, like once we are sorted कि ठीक है ये problem है, then the solution parts of
Hmm.
it. And these are also the five prioritized solutions that were taken from the uh, like
Hmm.
notebook. So the finals ones were meal-based ingredient ordering, smart grocery predictions. I'll explain that a little later. Then personalized meal planning that I wanted to do first of all. Then flexible grocery scheduling that even when you're planning meal, you might face problem कि यार मुझे इस time पे चाहिए, इस time पे नहीं चाहिए. And
Hmm.
then ordering with reels. So then I tried to understand that what is the goal that all the solutions are targeting, and it was backtracked as well.
Hmm.
That all these solutions will be targeting your meal planning entirely
Hmm.
every day. So that was the proper goal of it. Like there might be other use cases Swiggy is solving, but this is solving your end-to-end meal planning from
Yeah.
telling you what to eat or maybe how to cook that, giving you those things in your hand, and then giving you the recipes, etc. You just have to eat basically.
Yeah. And did you have this clarity when you were even noting down the solution on the notepad?
Yeah.
So you are putting out in visuals and all the things, right?
Yes. Clarity definitely keeps increasing when you create the wireframes. I think the wireframes give you a much better picture. कि
Hmm.
ठीक है अभी होगा अभी होगा अभी होगा. PPT is just a like just showing what is happening, but the clarity comes with wireframes.
Got it. अभी तक जितना भी आपने किया, everything was in your notes only, right? You were just putting out in a neat way.
And expanding more on it, like pain points,
Hmm.
needs, etc. So some things just expanding a little for curious readers.
Basically, मतलब figuring out what could be the best possible way to represent that. That
Hmm.
is what you changed in the PPT.
And then the prioritization of the solution, which is done with a lot of frameworks which I did not understand at all. The RISE framework, it became too complicated for me to put these things there.
Hmm.
So just trying to do this with the first principles as well. कि
Hmm.
मतलब meal based ordering, for example, that I mentioned, personalized meal planning is also a very big thing. But you
Hmm.
might be someone who might know how what you need to eat. But even if you are someone like that, you need to order your meals. Everyone who's ordering from Swiggy is ordering for their meals. So
Hmm.
I thought the impact of this would be much higher than any other things that I listed. And this was not something that a problem that I started with. I started with this, but I realized this
Hmm.
is a much bigger impact. And like then you keep cutting down the users in the segment, right? Like ये तो सबको चाहिए. Health meals only some people want. Personalized
Yeah.
meals only some people want.
Yeah.
So based on that, the impact was added here, and the urgency based on if the user is facing the problem at that particular time much or not. Now the
Hmm.
personalized meal plan, okay, it's a problem, but I'm still able to figure out some way I'm doing it right. But meal based ingredient ordering, it is a problem that constantly I have to enter four ingredients in order. So that is a
Hmm.
higher problem that I'm
Yeah.
facing. So things like that were taken considering urgency also.
Just a question.
Hmm.
Most of the time, idea of doing this is to identify or cut down few things, right? आपने यहाँ पे प्रायोरिटी देके लेकिन सब इम्प्लीमेंट किया. So what are
Exactly.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a mistake, I think. That's what I think. I did not know. I just was doing in the thought process that, okay, I am giving them five solutions. I'm just telling them if you don't want to do everything, you prioritize them in these
Hmm.
order. That was my thought process of doing. But now I know that in a case study, you prioritize and do that particular thing. You
Hmm.
don't do everything. So
Got it.
I think that happens when you are doing it for a particular problem and proposing these three solutions for that particular problem.
Hmm.
But whereas what I did is this was even problems ka prioritization as well,
Hmm.
right? Because the problems were very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
So that is the like thing that
Yeah.
happened.
Like every problem is catering to different. Every
Yes,
solution is catering to different problem.
different problem. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Then like then started with the present like main
Hmm.
solution sites, where I wanted to show the main thing as the wireframes. Because again, no one would read
Hmm.
this, and this was made in a way that which is self-explanatory. You
Yeah.
see a particular pizza. Pizza was also added with the intention that more people like pizza and would be interested to see that.
Hmm.
So you like show a particular pizza, you see the ingredients, you see there is an option. Like it is, I feel it is very self-explanatory. Even if
Hmm.
you don't read this particular thing, you will know what the solution is about. Seeing meal-based ingredient ordering, okay, and then seeing the meal and the ingredients.
Hmm.
So sorts out, and then uh, kind of showing the value to the users. This was added from a Swiggy point of view. Ki
Hmm.
if you implement this, what is the value your users will have? So even
Hmm.
again here, you don't have to read all of these things. Trying to cut everything in a very hierarchical manner that what I want to show first of all. So I think that hierarchy really helps. पहले ये दिखाना है, उसके बाद मैं चाहती हूँ ये पढ़े. मतलब
Hmm.
it will be organically happen to you that you will read this. You will go
Hmm.
to the site and then you will see the only word that you can read here is value to user. And then you will
Hmm.
automatically read these orange things.
Yeah.
It's a psychology that happens to some people, at least I feel.
Man, so much of details when you are making presentation. Did you thought of all these things beforehand only while making PPTs? This should be the way users would be
No,
going
no,
through.
nothing. I'll find the other one like when I created initially. मतलब ऐसा ही बनता जा रहा था, but it was not this structure I did not have while creating. I still till date create from a blank PPT only, and then I keep looking at it. I keep staring at it for a very long time. I feel it's a very psychopath habit. Like until unless I find any mistakes or if I'm reading in that particular order that I
Hmm.
want the user to read, then I find it's okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I think all the solutions are on the same lines, right? Wireframe to the right, value to the users in the
Yes,
left.
because first I was doing in a different way also, putting the wireframes here, putting something there.
Hmm.
Then I thought the users will get confused. Either मतलब give them a very structured pattern to read to
Yeah.
make it very easy. वो मैं चाहती थी वो यहीं देखें वैसे भी.
Yeah.
And I've read that Z pattern in marketing really works. So that was
Hmm.
good. So yeah,
Nice.
तो यहाँ पे आके I wanted them to stop. मतलब you see that वो हाँ.
Hmm.
So these
Got
are
it.
all the grocery.
Hmm.
And even the planning the little details here, I feel the smart grocery prediction, I would say when I thought, okay, someone is planning for their meal, but what happens is you are then, what are you trading off here? You are trading off the opportunity to show them other products that Swiggy has. For example,
Okay.
I'm just showing you ID batter, but I have other batters as well, new batters, and the
Oh.
companies are paying me to sponsor their batters. But because you like
Hmm.
ID batter, I cannot now show you any other batter. How do I
Hmm.
upsell also? I felt this is a
Hmm.
problem happening from a business end.
Hmm.
So then putting the option that you can see other batters also here, giving users their priority. You see on the top what you want, but still you have the option to change. Maybe you are looking for something different.
Hmm. Nice.
And then when you think about when you cook food, what happens sometimes is masalas are missing, but you don't need masala every time.
Hmm.
Oil and these things, you need only very less. So
Hmm.
putting them here so the user can check it here at the same place, but not adding
Hmm.
all the ingredients with it. You can't add oil every time.
Yeah.
So things like that are just there, what masalas you buy previously ordered and things like that. And it also shows you it's a very detailed line written here that ordered 15 days ago. So
Oh.
even if you don't want to go to your chicken and sorry kitchen and check, you can just see कि यार मैंने 15 दिन पहले मंगाया था अभी तो नहीं खत्म हुआ होगा इसका मतलब.
Oh. So basically, you are also forcing users to use the same application because यहाँ पे उनको मिलेगा कितने दिन पहले order किया है. So
हाँ,
retention would
you have
also
everything
increase.
together. Yes, true. I thought of that as well. Like you will not go to any other application when you are seeing everything together for your day to day. It
Hmm.
becomes your friend at a point.
So much details in the wireframes also. For the first case study, it is really like I don't think anyone puts in this much efforts, to be honest. When
Interest matters. Nothing bigger.
yeah, interest matters, but still, I have not seen anyone putting so much of efforts. I've talked to more than 150 folks about case studies so far. So I think this is really inspiring. Maybe I can also take some points for my next case study on this, based on this.
Maybe we can do one next together. I've seen your case studies. They are really inspiring. I think you are taking the level down.
Yeah, let's do some together. I would love to.
Done. Done, done. Okay. Then one more feature I would want to just talk about here is like this Reels feature. This is a very big problem that I used to face. On Instagram, pe,
Yeah.
even if you don't like a food, whatever, it comes in your feed. You will keep scrolling and watching it and
Yeah.
want to make it someday. But wo nahi ho pata. You can't save it. And even if you
Hmm.
save it, the bigger problem happens is that you still go to Swiggy and search each and everything together.
Hmm.
So this is also a very big gap that I saw. And then like trying just then the solution becomes simpler when you understand the problem what is happening that
Yeah.
user यहाँ पे ये कर रहा है यहाँ पे ये कर रहा है उसका कोई merge नहीं है then the
Hmm.
solution to think about this is very easy I
Hmm.
feel but the
Yeah.
first step is the problem where is it occurring at which particular step for the user.
Hmm. One thing which I think is like you were able to think of so much, you were able to think so clearly about all these things is mainly because of the clarity you had before even starting the presentation. Like मुझे यही करना है. Even though इतना clarity नहीं होगा कि कैसे present करना है, but at least वो clarity था, that is why you can spend so much time in this all things. नहीं तो हर बार change होते रहेगा. Many people what they do is they start with presentation only. And then पता चलता है पूरा change होगा and पूरा change हो जाता है presentation story line.
Yeah, I don't think that should be the way to do because then you start focusing more on the visuals. But वो
Yeah,
story मिस हो जाती है कि actual problem क्या है. मतलब I feel it's a marriage of the content and the presentation that you need to
yeah.
do. If someone's liking your visuals, they will read the content. And if that fails, everything fails. I
One
feel
point,
content is more powerful than visuals, by the way. Like still your content
yeah.
has to talk.
Like even from PM perspective or APM perspective, people would be more interested in research and insights more than presentation. But presentation would help catch attention ताकि वो पढ़े उतना. उसके बिना पढ़ेंगे
True.
भी नहीं.
कोई पढ़ ही नहीं रहा कोई इतनी केस स्टडीज आ रही है इंटरनेट पे लिंक्डइन
Yeah,
यू स्क्रॉल यू सी 30 केस स्टडीज इन 1 hour. So why will they read?
yeah.
Even if this they wouldn't have read, I feel they would have just scrolled through
Scrolled, yeah,
for 5 minutes max की seeing कि okay मेरे को ये प्रॉब्लम आती है हाँ इससे मेरी ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगी. I
yeah.
think that's the little times people spend. So
प्रेजेंटेशन इम्पोर्टेंट है बट यू शुड नॉट कॉम्प्रोमाइज कंटेंट. पहले
never.
जैसे आपने बनाया था नोटबुक में, आई थिंक दैट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट एंड दिस इज जस्ट टू गेन अटेंशन कि मैंने ये बनाया था.
Yeah, and to maybe basically, sell your product. You have created
या
something, you like something. If you are not able to show it to people, अगर लोग देखने ही तैयार नहीं है, तो वो solution work कैसे करेगा?
या
मतलब I know Swiggy will not do this, but at least giving like the idea somewhere कि कोई देख भी ले कभी जिंदगी
या
में आके मतलब
या
मेरे को तो ये भी लगा था no one would read this also. This will also not help. Then I created a slide where the video comparison is happening of the current and the proposed. कि at least people will see this video तो चलता हुआ देख लेंगे बिना किसी मेहनत के. तो इससे ही दिख जाएगा कि यार इसमें कितना टाइम लग रहा है और प्रपोज में कितना कम टाइम लग रहा है.
एंड दैट 75% टाइम से इट इज सो कैची कि देखने का मन करेगा वीडियो.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it actually saves 75% of the time. It's a maths
ओह.
data. मतलब, because here you're searching for 5 ingredients one by one. You keep doing this slowly, slowly, right? And here you just have to click on it and you're sorted. Like you get the poha, you go here, you add all the ingredients. So the clicks itself are saving your time for 75%. I think the response was very good because the problem was very real. I
या
did a case study after that also. मतलब but the meal planning thing वो लोगों की रोज की प्रॉब्लम होती है. Maybe while reading something 10 मिनट पहले किसी ने वो प्रॉब्लम फेस करी होगी. So I felt the relatability was a lot more in the case study, and that is why people kind of like.
I think relatability hai, that is a factor, but also the way you presented, the way you researched, that also matters. Just because it is relatable, I don't think it would catch attention. It's not.
And then the last steps in the case study showing the user journey. So like people who are not interested in the wireframes, maybe there are like I think that means we need to show the user journey at least because here it is not covering the journey anywhere. So
Hmm.
it's showing the current journey and the proposed journey, and maybe just adding icons towards it so that people know what is the user feeling at each step.
Yeah.
And Yeah, and then once you are done with the solution, since this was created with the mindset that it goes to CV, that what is the value proposition that you will have once you implement all of this?
Yeah.
So, and this is connected with the problems that they gave me, that revenue बढ़ाना है, adoption and all that. So all of those four problems you are trying to, you will get the value. Even you will get a lot of user insights. You will now not only know that they are ordering aloo and capsicum, they are eating pav bhaji is what you will get to know. So
Hmm.
very good data to get into for every day of users, right? So I think
Hmm.
that's a very potential impact. And then,
Nice.
yeah, these three things. And once you even have these values, even if I'm telling you that, yeah, these are the values that you will get, how will you then
Hmm.
track these to the value propositions? So then you track it via the metrics.
Hmm.
Even here, I was just saying that we need to make sure that we are creating a story. We are just not writing that these are the value proposition, these are the metrics. What is
Hmm.
the connection from the value proposition to the metrics?
Hmm.
So for the user to read, like let's dive into the metrics that will calculate the value proposition. So
Hmm.
I think that also helps at times.
Yeah. I think it is really for first case study तो मेरा फर्स्ट केस स्टडी अगर मैं दिखाऊंगा इट इज लाइक इतना गंदा था to make so much efforts in the first case study to make it so perfect 1 month देके it is really मतलब most of the people won't do this case study even after 5 6 case studies. This is what I think. Not sure about it. I think mainly it is because of passion and amount of time you are willing to spend after your workouts. No one
Yeah, I
puts in
think the
that.
passion really helps. If you want to get into, I think this product industry itself, right? I feel very interested reading about it every day and wanting to get into that. So the
Hmm.
motivation really helps you to do things more than you want.
Yeah. I think I wanted to do a bit of reflection on this case study. If you have
Hmm.
time, we can do that.
Yes. Hmm.
First is the few things which I really liked about the case study. I just wanted to discuss that first. First is the thing is जो आपने note down किया. You noted down all the possible things before even starting the case study. That was one thing which I really liked. कि मतलब first have clarity, then start with the presentation part. Second thing is the way you validated the problem. कि reels relatable reels है तो 2 दिन में validate हो जाएगा. या 1 2 दिन में you can talk to few users, then check for something which is viral and say it is a problem. So the way you validated the problem, वो मुझे काफी सही लगा. Third is the amount of efforts you have put in the presentation on thinking through complete step कि users कैसे सोचेंगे and based on that you market your content. That was something which I really learned and I would apply this for my case study as well. That was the main point. Fourth thing was the, I would say, photos, the kind of photos you have had in the each slides. So much relatable कि अगर कोई content भी नहीं पढ़ेगा इससे they could get a complete idea about everything. And fifth is storyline. Like थोड़ा changes हो सकते थे storyline में, but for first case study, if you are not knowing anything and starting off with such a good case study, structure in place of case study is something which I really appreciate about it. Most of the time, my first case study was solution oriented. Third slide में हम लोग का solution आ गया था. Then based
Happens.
on based on feedback, then I changed the process. So based on that, I'm saying. So really overall thing, so I really like, and also metric thinking. Like you thought from business perspective as well, starting maybe and ending maybe what things they could track and everything. And what time saved का video, that catchy thing. I would
Yeah, I like
definitely.
that as well.
That was the main thing. Like कोई पढ़ेगा नहीं फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You can put this on YouTube and यहाँ से भी बोल सकते हो 70% time saved है.
मतलब LinkedIn पे मैंने दो पोस्ट डाले थे. One was the PDF, one was the video. So to
And also
make sure
blog था. Blog भी था I guess.
ब्लॉग तो इसी का सेम है. These are the pictures that were taken in the blog, but there was a video separately कि okay, the users who are not reading, आप video देख लो.
Yeah. I've seen your post. Based on that only मुझे लगा कि आपको बुलाना चाहिए. यार मतलब there's I felt there could be many things I could learn from and I was right on that point.
It's the other way around as well. Atharv. The way you have, I've read your case studies. They are extremely detailed, and I really like them as well. And even the way you take the content out of me, I did not know the structure that I had before creating. The way you ask questions and make the atmosphere comfortable is really commendable.
Wanted to ask you questions like first your opinion on what you feel now after doing 5, 6 case studies could be improved in this case study if you look back now.
Yeah, so I think we covered most of the points before itself. Like the user segmentation was a big mistake. It has to be mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Targeting a particular user segment, solving for one particular problem is better in a case study. And even when we do the target segment, the impact analysis for that. So the data actually helps you in that understanding that. So that was completely missing, I feel. And yeah, here I feel I could have mapped the problems with the solution. The solutions are written separately.
Hmm.
Maybe the user will not be able to connect वहाँ ऊपर थे problems. तो वहाँ से maybe this
Yeah.
gap can be filled. And yeah, I did not know the prioritization, so I think this can also be done a little more better, adding the confidence, etc. criterias.
Hmm. Got
And yeah, like maybe we discussed a lot of things on the go.
Yeah. Few things which I wanted to add or wanted your perspectives because there is nothing wrong in the case study. Just depends on how you frame the story, I guess. But one thing which I would have done differently is can you go to user pain points slide?
Hmm.
So basically what you did was you tried to target everything and then propose solution for every pain point, right? So
Correct.
did you think of having some sort of priority here only? So I will focus only on one pain point and come up with 30 solutions for that pain point.
No, I did not, because I prioritize the problems and then prioritize the solutions. And this is also prioritizing the problem only. Because when it's one is
Yeah.
to one mapping, you are prioritizing the problem and the solution both. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that I completely did not do or did not even understand that that is way it has to be done. I read a lot of case studies where they were solving five problem solutions. So,
Yeah.
kind of went ahead with that.
Yeah. Like now, based on what I think now, it is better to have 30 solutions for one pain point because आपको भी ज़्यादा evaluate करने को मिलेगा कि 30 में से कौन सा best solution है for that pain point.
Yeah.
So that I would have done because I'm not saying it is right or wrong. I would have done that thing कि चार problems है मुझे इतने personas नहीं लेने हैं चार problem के लिए चार personas. Maybe just pick
Hmm.
one problem उसका major persona ले लो and उसके लिए अच्छे से solve करो. That approach I would have taken. और
Yeah, that is what
if
Nextly taught completely. Like that is what we are being like taught
अच्छा
here. Ki pick one problem, pick a user, understand the target, like understand the impact of it, and then do three solutions, then prioritize one solution out of that. So that is what the structure I was telling, which I completely did not have. And then now when you see the structure, it really makes sense that why you take three solutions, why you prioritize one out of them,
हम्म
etc.
या बिकॉज यहाँ पे आप क्या हुआ मुझे लगता है कि आपने एक सोल्यूशन लिया फॉर वन पेन पॉइंट if you were if you had followed the same approach but edited five solution for each pain point and then chose the best solution that would have given more depth मुझे लगता है
Right, true.
that was one thing and second thing was can you go to solutions वाला slide
Hmm.
some sort of estimation on how much of some sort of guesstimate analysis on how it would help Swiggy improve its revenue or improve the retention of users वाला part यहाँ पे ताकि वो
Yeah.
दिखाएगा कि ऊपर वाला प्रॉब्लम कैसे सॉल्व हो रहा है इफ योर मेन प्रॉब्लम इसकी लोग ऑर्डर नहीं कर रहे हैं या रिटेंशन इज अ प्रॉब्लम तो
Hmm.
दिस वुड हेल्प इन दैट मच ऑफ थिंग्स विथ सम सॉर्ट ऑफ एस्टिमेट
Got it. Like I should have shown what I'm trying to target from a Swiggy Pro. What is the revenue that is also coming
yeah
with that membership?
yeah like you have shown value to the user but value to the
Hmm.
Swiggy like this much of business value because of this guesstimate वाला thing
Hmm. Got it.
and
मतलब
sec
पता नहीं चलता तब कि एक साथ value to you're just adding to that. मतलब that is why the value propositions for Swiggy were given differently. But for each
feature
solution also we should give the value. Got it.
मतलब आई एम जस्ट पॉइंटिंग आउट व्हाट आई कुड हैव डन डिफरेंटली
Hmm.
एंड लास्ट वाला स्लाइड में जाना एक बार मेट्रिक
Metrics are wrong.
नहीं आई वुड से रॉन्ग देयर
Not
इज
you're
नथिंग
wrong.
रॉन्ग
There's nothing called as viewer engagement until unless you clarify what is the
Yeah,
metrics, how can you calculate that? So this is completely wrong. These have to be two particular metrics, the
yeah,
time spent on that and the maybe frequency on that. There's
yeah,
nothing called as user engagement that you can track. Now
yeah,
that
but
I know.
yeah. So mainly on those points only, and also if you can show the correlation in a better way or not, like
In
how
sense?
देयर शुड बी लाइक फर्स्ट स्लाइड पे जाना जो आपने गोल्स डिफाइन किए थे.
Hmm.
हाउ दिस metrics are tied to these goals.
Okay, so here,
I am
if you
assuming
see
goals
the
are your
learning,
North Star metric. Adoption is your North Star metric.
the North Star metric is pro user count. So this all of these features are clubbed under Swiggy Pro. So how many people are buying Swiggy Pro? That I thought of a North Star metric. If they are buying, basically good for company, good for users, like um,
तो उसमें मुझे ये लगा मे बी सम मैसेजिंग कुड हैव बीन डिफरेंट इन केस ऊपर आपने लिखा था सॉल्विंग फॉर एडॉप्शन.
hmm,
सो ऊपर आपका हो सकता था रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम्स बढ़ाना. दैट कुड बी अ ऊपर वाला पॉइंट जो आपने थर्ड में लिखा था.
huh,
सो मैक्सिमाइजिंग रेवेन्यू चैनल्स अगर ऊपर हो जाता तो रेवेन्यू से लिंक्ड प्रो है देन इट वुड बी अ नॉट स्टार मेट्रिक जस्ट पोजिशनिंग ऑफ दैट पॉइंट्स.
got
एंड
it.
एडॉप्शन एडॉप्शन ऑफ रेवेन्यू चैनल वो ऐसे परसेप्शन देता कि मुझे रेवेन्यू चैनल जनरेट करना है एंड उसका एडॉप्शन बढ़ाना है जस्ट ऑर्डरिंग वाले पार्ट में.
Okay. I did not even think of the ordering here because it was completely backtracked. So I did not think of the ordering. But now I'm getting what you're saying that these are the main goals that we are prioritizing.
या तो अगर ये सेम चीज अगर आपने रेवेन्यू ऊपर लिखा होता एडॉप्शन नीचे लिखा
Hmm.
होता देन इट मेक सेंस कि रेवेन्यू इज योर मेन मेट्रिक एंड एडॉप्शन कैसे लाओगे दैट यू आर शोइंग यूजिंग ऑल दोस थिंग्स.
Got it. Got it. Interesting.
बट इतना ही था मतलब ये तो जस्ट आई एम टेलिंग माय पर्सपेक्टिव. ओवरऑल तो आई एम प्रेटी impressed and that is why I called you just to pick your thought process overall. But
It's a
yeah,
very vague thought process. It's a very iterations back and forth. You have to keep like doing something random, and I think it gets figured out on the way.
yeah,
There's no much structured thought process that went into it. That's why I'm saying.
I don't think so. There is no
I mean,
structured thought process.
there was not.
Then how did you arrive at this structure? Like even जो आपने लिखा था notes में, that also a structured thought process only, na, starting with this thing.
That's just thinking about the users. That's just constantly thinking. I used to take walks in my house thinking about the problem and then come down and write one point. Things like that. Like constantly think, well, what will they do? How do you do? See
Hmm.
others using the app. Like my friend used to order for her things. So I used to see her. She's also facing the same problem. तो
Hmm.
ऐसी टाइप की चीजें सोच सोच के ही फिर वो हुआ है मतलब ऐसा स्ट्रक्चर नहीं था ए ये फिर बी ये फिर सी ये
I think that is
and
the
I
right thing मुझे लगता है. When
मैं
I
भी वही
say
बोलने वाली थी कि मतलब प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट में आई डोंट थिंक यू कैन हैव अ ए और बी
yeah,
यू हैव टू थिंक इन सो मेनी डायमेंशंस
yeah,
दैट वॉकिंग हेल्प्स
yeah. So my perspective was also the same. When you say structured process, it is not like you follow frameworks तो structured हो जाएगा. More than that, how you tell a story in a way जिससे people would understand better क्योंकि in the end you need to convince other people कि ये work करेगा. So the writing down that point is more better than applying some random circles framework just because किसी ने बोला. I'm not saying it is bad.
मैं टोटली
Circles framework.
एग्जैक्टली कंप्लीटली अलाइन विद यू मतलब नहीं जमता वो चीज राइस फ्रेमवर्क इज नॉट that you can apply very easily and make sense out of it. Like it is
Yeah,
force fitting a framework there.
yeah, true. Even circles में कभी कभी मुझे लगता है there could be few scenarios there could be possibility कि हमें 5-6 पेन पॉइंट सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा. यू कैनॉट से हर बार मुझे कट करना है. सो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कॉन्टेक्स्ट एंड वो आपको स्टोरी टेलिंग से ही आएगा. यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ
Exactly.
स्टोरीज एंड आपको क्या
That's what you
दिखाना
need
है
to
यूजर्स.
convince yourself, first of all.
या
Before convincing others, you need to be 100% convinced. Yes, I can vouch for it like an advocate.
या
So, like if you ask me about any single point, I can vouch to you right now, even if I'm wrong, but I can at least vouch कि हाँ ये problem है. मतलब तो
या या आई थिंक दैट इज द मेन थिंग. इफ यू हैव कॉन्फिडेंस यू कैन. आई गेस इन पीएम आल्सो इफ यू हैव कॉन्फिडेंस you can only then convince developers कि ये सही है. अदरवाइज they would question for every small details and हम लोग नहीं सोचा नहीं होता है ये सब चीजों में.
हाँ I've heard कि मतलब there are question back and forth question like I don't know but I heard somewhere that their
हाँ.
developers ask the PMs कि क्यों बनाना है क्या बनाना है नहीं तो
Yeah,
नहीं बनाएंगे. तो
yeah. I have few common questions which many people ask. Like people want to start case study but effort नहीं करना है. वैसे बहुत लोग भी होते हैं. So
हम्म
few questions which I get commonly from all the people who are aspiring PMs who want to start with case study.
हम्म
So I just had few questions जो मुझे आते थे and I
हम्म
just wanted your perspective on that. So first thing is when you are starting off, you are not knowing ki where to start. and net पे there is so much resources available कि you tend to just lose the focus. So if someone is starting off, what advice would you give कि आप कैसे case study चालू कर सकते हो?
Yeah, so as I think I mentioned in the earlier start of the podcast, that always pick your favorite product. It really helps a lot because you've used it constantly in and out. You know how the app markets, how the app tells you about a new feature, and the nitty-gritties of the app, you know better. So I think starting with that really helps, or maybe starting then with something entirely new will create problems for you only at your own, because there's a lot of
Hmm.
research that already has to be done, so at least some part of research is already done in your head. And then again, picking up a problem that you resonate with. So because you will not be able to do research, right? But you will be able to understand the steps that you go through along the way. So that also helps. And because they need data, I've realized that we should do it for a company, at least some data is available. Because otherwise, connecting the dots, it becomes a problem only for us.
Hmm.
That when I was trying to do for a smaller company, there was no data available for me to understand कि यहाँ पे कितने users आ रहे हैं, क्या हो रहा है. So at least starting off with a bigger company, so you see data and able to make sense out of it, then you will be able to assume data later. कि ठीक है ये इतना होगा. But
Hmm.
starting में, if you have some data, that helps. And yeah, starting with your own problem actually really, really
What if someone, I would
does
say,
not have
does
a
not
clue.
even know कि case study क्या होता है, and now he wants to start?
Read. Yeah, I missed that point. The third thing I would say is read a lot of case studies. I think there are wonderful case studies out there. They have a lot of structure. So even for a particular slide, if I want to go, I have a lot of 5 to 6 things that I can see around the internet and take the best or whatever is fitting in my structure or things like that. So reading them helps you create the story in your head, that how do I now replicate that story? Maybe replicate a particular thing. Take a story that someone has created. Try to
Hmm.
replicate that with your favorite product or a problem that you see on the internet. Then you will automatically try to fit the gaps.
Yeah, completely agree. And another thing is कि खुद से करो, बस पढ़ के कुछ नहीं होगा. Just by reading, you might feel कि I know everything, but when you start doing, then only you face the problem.
Yeah, true. It looks easy because someone has connected those dots for you. But when
Uh,
you try to connect those dots, that is when the real problem comes in.
Second question, which many people ask, is it is overwhelming to learn so many new things. You need to learn Figma, you need to learn how to do user research and everything. So, how do you figure out on the way all these things?
I mean, everything, tools like that, you have to spend some time. But user research, etc., I think again comes with first with principal thinking only for me. That what do you want to get out of that research? Like you have to
Hmm.
connect your A to B's at every point. Here your A is that you don't know what the user is and you want to get these parameters from the user. So then you can connect that easily. But things like Figma, you will have to spend some time to learn, and there are good courses out there. It is pretty easy. And as PMs, we don't even need to know that level of Figma.
Hmm.
Only if we understand where to put what, it's sorted. And then when you
Yeah.
think of Figma, it just becomes a replication of PPT. You're just putting a square and an image only, right? You're just aligning that, which you're doing in the PPT as well.
Yeah.
So I think of both of them very similarly. Like try to see where your skills can be transferred. I got my hands on Figma very easily because PPT was I was used to. I was seeing, okay, this I can replicate there. So trying to find that ways. And yeah, I did that on the job itself. Like when the wireframing part was done, maybe you don't know how to scroll feature in Figma. You just YouTube that part and do
Yeah.
that. The internet is much welcoming now. There is ChatGPT. If you like, for some pages, what I did is just drafted my thoughts down there. You might not be able to write it in such a fancy way, and then put it into ChatGPT and tell it to refine it and give you. So the thoughts are yours, but the structure becomes better. So
Yeah.
yeah, things like that. I mean,
Yeah, मतलब tools तो सीखने पड़ेंगे. You cannot give it as excuse कि I am not from this background, so आता नहीं है. But
हाँ
it
और
is easy
मतलब
to
अगर
learn.
इजीली हो जाता है.
Yeah. And even if you can't go into Akshita जैसे details, what I do is screenshot ले लो, इसमें थोड़े थोड़े changes करो first case study के लिए, it is good enough.
Yeah, and now there are tools that will help you. There's a tool called Wizzly, I feel, where the
Yeah.
screenshot thing, you put a screenshot, it will convert into a wireframe for you.
Yeah.
So you take that and then make the modifications, whatever you want to do. So that job is also AI is making easy
Yeah.
for us. So Very less. All we need to figure out, Arindam says in his class, is what is the problem.
Yeah,
Nothing else. You have everything to help you. Even in the company, you will have everyone to help you. But the problem, what the user is going through, that is your job as a PM to identify.
yeah. Definitely. And third question is, people get lost when they are doing case study because they self-doubt themselves. Is this right or not? Am I on the right path or not? So in that situation, how can people deal with that? And because of that, they tend to leave the case study in between.
I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that or not. I started this in January. I'm also trying to figure it out. But yeah, just having the interest, if you know you have an interest in PM, I think then only get into this route. Otherwise, unnecessarily doing case studies will not help. Like if you know for sure this ecosystem that you read about, those job roles that really excites you, it is then only I think someone should get into that toes. And when that path is sorted, right, when someone has interests, so this then becomes easy for them to do. Then the confidence they wouldn't lose because they know the goal that they're trying
Hmm.
to do it for. If you're doing it just to make a case study, you have no
Yeah,
motivation to make a case study. So I think that would help. Otherwise, I would say not to make a case study if that is not
yeah,
the goal.
true. Making it just for sake of portfolio so you can get a job, it won't help you with the job, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
It
also,
will
मुझे
even not help, like it will decline. If you make something bad, the recruiter will come there and see ki, no, I don't want this. So before interview only it might get.
yeah, yeah. I think it helped me with next year interview. Even before interview, my interviewer had gone through all the case studies. So he was knowing
Oh,
कि case studies मैंने देखे हैं तेरे. You have some amazing case studies in your thing. So that helped me a lot.
nice.
Before interview only impression was set. So that helps with
Nice, nice.
interviews.
And I've read your case studies, the logic that you've applied, the depth that you've gone to each thing. I read this Swiggy thing only, I feel very detailed. So yeah, I get what the recruiter is saying.
So that helps a lot, but it might go in other way as well. यार इसको क्यों लेना है अगर मैंने एकदम generic बनाया without any thought process.
Right.
And second thing I think is कि ये question useless है when people ask this. If you have passion to solve a problem, you will figure out a way. आपको नींद ही नहीं आएगी ये problem solve नहीं हो रहा है तो.
Yeah, yeah, I used to think about it when whatever I was doing, I think that one particular week I was just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because it will come naturally if you think
Hmm.
passion wise.
Yeah. I think ये तो तीन main question है. Apart from that, few छोटे मोटे questions है that I can just sum up in one question. That is, do you think case studies helps you get a job?
I don't think so. I want to answer this question because like the
Or
companies that I
are you confident that doing case studies would help them get a job?
yeah, what I'm hearing in the market is yes, that if people have a good portfolio and good case studies, it does help converting interviews.
Yeah, मतलब I have a different perspective on this. Case studies is just for improving your skills. It might or might not help you with the job directly because interview में जब questions आएंगे, you know कि ऐसे replicate करता है situation को. You can just clarify your thoughts in better way. So don't think कि इससे job मिलेगा, but think it more from learning perspective कि it would help you improve your thought process and also help you get new knowledge जो आप बता सकते हो
True.
कि मैंने ये सब किया था. मुझे लगता है stories helps you get a job and case studies can help you finding those stories कि मतलब हमने ये किया था जिससे वो impress हो सकता है.
True. Well, I agree to that. Like skills development, it really helps. Like when you, like the same thing will happen in the interview, right? They will ask you about a particular problem, and then when you
Yeah,
have the structure in your mind sorted, so that is
yeah,
the real value addition of the case study.
yeah. I think more than case study, look for stories. Like अगर मैं कोई भी इंटरव्यू में जाता हूँ, every case study has some story attached with it. Like if I am doing cut dot fit का case study, हम लोग को 4 दिन में खत्म करना था cut dot fit का case study. So what we did was we went to cult center, sat there for 2 hours, and वहाँ पे हमने सबको question पूछा. I told them I need to take admission for my younger brother. Understood all the process क्या होता है, and in 2 hours we could figure out everything. कि मतलब हम लोग को ऐसे insights मिले जो बहुत लोग को मिलते नहीं है, which could be story वाला thing. Like most of the childrens were coming with their homemade. एंड वहाँ पे बायोमेट्रिक अटेंडेंस होता था एंड दोनों को नहीं आता था करने को. सो दैट वाज अ
True,
प्रॉब्लम इवन टू एडवांस टेक है. तो ऑल द स्टोरीज सेल इन इंटरव्यूज फॉर केस स्टडीज एंड नॉट
definitely.
जनरल थिंग. या इफ डिलीवरी का केस स्टडी था, मैंने खुद डिलीवरी पर्सन के लिए अप्लाई करके पूरा प्रोसेस किया था. So that helps me to get an idea कि उनका प्रोसेस क्या है. तो all the stories is what impress people.
High five on that. I
You also
just
did
tried
it.
the Swiggy, tried the Swiggy delivery, food delivery. I will be doing a case study on that, of course, next week. So, but yeah, it really is interesting
Yeah,
also, and it helps you understand everything that you think you would
yeah,
like. It's a lot vast once you go there.
yeah. So I think look for stories and case studies. उससे आपका डेडिकेशन, पैशन एंड ऑल्सो टू सम एक्सटेंट स्किल्स समझ में आ जाएगा लोगों को कि ये कुछ भी करके कर लेगा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व. Look for that.
100% agree.